Welcome to Primary Source Essentials. In this episode, we are going to briefly examine the controversial Kentucky and Virginia resolutions. The principles of free speech and a free press are fundamental guarantees in the First Amendment, guaranteeing the liberties of the people to express themselves, criticize government, and engage in open debate in a free society. In 1798, the French seized hundreds of American ships in what was called the Quasi War and caused a diplomatic incident called the XYZ Affair, in which the French insulted Americans by demanding a bribe and loan before they would even begin negotiations. As a result, Federalists who controlled Congress voted to prepare for war and passed the Alien and Sedition Acts. The Alien Act empowered the president to deport any enemy aliens from the country. The Sedition Act made it a crime to say or print false, scandalous, or malicious things about the federal government, president, or Congress. President John Adams signed both into law. No one was deported under the Alien Act, but the administration prosecuted and convicted 10 people under the Sedition Act in a highly partisan manner against Jeffersonian Republicans. Thomas Jefferson called it a reign of witches, and he and his friend James Madison acted. Jefferson penned a denunciation of the act, which was adopted as the Kentucky Resolution, and James Madison wrote the Virginia Resolution. Jefferson's Kentucky resolutions challenged federal authority and created a doctrine of nullification. He had written a draft explicitly using the word nullification, which was nowhere found in the Constitution. He claimed, where powers are assumed, which have not been delegated, a nullification of the act by the states is a rightful remedy. But Kentucky went with the less explicit version, stating that when the federal government assumes undelegated powers, its acts are unauthoritative, void, and of no force. James Madison's Virginia resolutions were more moderate, though they also challenged federal authority. They stated that the states were duty-bound to interpose themselves when there was a deliberate, palpable, and dangerous exercise of power by the federal government. He never defined what interposition looked like, however, and thought elections would allow new representatives to steer the country back in the right direction. The Kentucky and Virginia resolutions met with a hostile reception. 10 of 14 states were critical of them and stated that they violated the Supremacy Clause of Article 6 of the Constitution because states could not impede federal law. They also thought that the courts had the authority to stop unconstitutional acts of Congress, not the states. While the Sedition Act expired in 1801, some embraced this doctrine of nullification that Jefferson supported in the Kentucky resolutions that would become important in the growing sectional crisis. Thanks for watching, and check out the other videos in Primary Source Essentials.